Welcome back, everybody. This conference is all about personal, professional growth. And I think after that lunch, it's also about physical growth as well, isn't it? I hope you enjoyed your lunch. Had another growing opportunity. We've got an action-packed afternoon for you. Before we have our very interesting discussion about the ABLES project, I would just like to ask Stephen Jenner to come up here and just to show us what's been going on online, because as you know, we are being broadcast to the rest of the world. So Stephen, if you could just say a couple of words. Thank you.
Okay. Hello, everybody. So we're getting a great response to the online conference, and I can actually say that we're now second in Google search, EFP Online. So that's pretty good. I'll just show you a few things which we've got up on the site. One really great thing as well was that everything that was streamed yesterday was recorded and is now on the site. So if you missed any sessions yesterday, you can see them online. We've also got photos from both the days. On YouTube, we have the interviews. We're doing a lot more interviews today, so they'll be on the site by the end of the day. And there's a lot going on the blogs. So you can see some of the topics today. We're covering all of the sessions on the blogs. Just down here is session on continuous professional development. Where should teacher educators come from? I can't find it now, but somewhere there's a blog post about Rod Belitho's session, and I saw Rod anxiously outside checking the site to see if anybody had commented on his blog post. So please maybe go out and make some comments on it and get the interaction going there. And then lastly, we have the stream. And there I am. The blog, you can't hear me, is session on continuous professional development. Where should teacher educators come from? I can't find it now, but somewhere there's a blog post about Rod Belitho's session, and I saw Rod. All right, that's all a bit weird now, so we'll stop that. That was my online persona. So please get onto the site. There's lots of people around the world who want to discuss these issues and interact with you sitting here. And the URL is www.britishcouncil.org.in/EFP online. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much, Stephen, for that. We've now got an absolutely fascinating session on managing a silent revolution, educational change in Tamil Nadu. And I'm going to ask Claire O'Donoghue, who is a senior training consultant, Project English, to introduce the people who are going to talk about this project. So over to you, Claire. Could we have a round of applause for our participants? Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. The Silent Revolution is the name given to the implementation of a large educational change program in lower primary schools in Tamil Nadu. In 2003, Mr. Vijay Kumar, the then Commissioner of Chennai Corporation, and his team took the bold step to begin a total change in the education in the government schools in Tamil Nadu. Children in standards 1 to 4 in Tamil Nadu engage in a new curriculum following the ABL methodology, that is, activity-based learning. The focus of this session is on the implementation of educational change, the systems and the processes, and how this can be managed to best effect. We will be describing how 3 organisations, Sava Shiksha Abhiyan, the SSA, UNICEF and British Council are working together to build on this remarkable change. Aruna Ratnam, the educational specialist for UNICEF in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, will take us through the journey of ABL from a pilot to upscaling across the whole state. Dr. Kanapan, the Joint Director of the SSA, will then talk about the teacher education programme currently being conducted to address the English language needs of children in government schools. Finally, Alison Barrett, Head of State Partnerships Project English, will talk about how the commitment, experience and expertise of 3 organisations working together hopes to ensure that the programme is as successful as possible. We'd like to set the scene first by showing you part of a longer film about ABL. It's called The Silent Revolution. You might like to see the whole film, and we'll put it up in the foyer on one of the laptops at tea break. And it may be useful to reflect on some of the factors for success that Martin brought up this morning whilst we watch it. Okay, so sit back and relax and watch the film.
In mathematics, the Montessori system has proved to be a tremendous enrichment to ABL. The materials now available in ABL are colorful, easy to handle, hardy and meticulously developed, and enable children to understand place value, that is units, tens, hundreds, and the basic mathematical processes. By bringing the blackboard from the teacher's eye level to the child's, and by increasing the blackboard space, 2 more learning aids have been created. 1, a specific space for each child to write, and 2, a large space to read each other's exercises. Every child can proudly own a part of that blackboard. The learning materials are not only systematically stacked on the shelves, but they are color-coded for each class level. Also, logos of animal and insect forms are used for different aspects of the curriculum. When the child completes one set, there is a card for self-evaluation. The achievement chart clearly shows the positions of the children in each area. Thus, the teacher is enabled to track every learner's progress. Monitoring of progress by the teacher is subtly combined with the child's freedom to select the pace of learning. This can be administered by oneself or with the assistance of another child. In building in the opportunity of recall of learned material at each stage, evaluation has become part of the process. For the children, there is no failure, and therefore there is no fear of failure. In the conventional school system, so many children drop out of school because they fail. The need for an examination at the end of the school year is made redundant in this system. So easily has the asura called annual exam been vanquished. If we pause for a second to think of how children are generally given ranks for their performance in school subjects, and how ranking becomes a subtle way of indicating the value of a child, we have a sense of liberation from ranking here. No child is better than or worse than another. The teacher keeps an eye on the levels attained by every child and sometimes helps by pairing an advanced learner with a slower one for specific exercises. This kind of peer teaching works well. It must be noted that the entire system allows for diversity and differential rates of progress. The ruthlessness of ranking and peer competition is further reduced by mixing the age groups and classes. In a room of 40 children, there could be 10 each from classes 1, 2, 3 and 4. This vertical grouping has several advantages. It recreates a family model where the older child automatically becomes a guide and helper for the younger one. It encourages cooperation between children rather than competition among them. We are told that a multi-grade classroom is a problem which many rural schools confront. ABL is a simple solution to that complicated issue. The system absorbs different age groups and different ability levels within the same age group. Taking the daily attendance is a ritual in most schools, with the teacher calling out the names and the pupils responding. In the ABL method, this process is made child-friendly. There is an attendance card for each child to be filled up every day. When they assemble in the morning, one student from each class level in the room distributes the attendance cards and collects the filled up ones. The entire process is orderly. It puts the responsibility for marking attendance on the child and not on the teacher. Children love the sense of trust that this procedure implies. We've all heard about the teachers losing their voices because of shouting and screaming to keep the children quiet. In the schools with ABL, there are no apparent discipline problems. The structured learning materials have their own logic, which supports the children's involvement in reading, writing and calculating. Children find that they can learn at any speed without being taunted by classmates or scolded by the teacher. Also, there's no scrambling for adult attention. Discipline is intrinsic to the material and internalized by the children. The textbook is not the only source of knowledge, just as the teacher is not the sole authority. The textbook is integrated into the materials. For instance, one of the steps of the ladder contains an instruction to read a specified page of the textbook. Clearly, when a child goes step by step on the ladder, his steady progress gives him the skills to read the connected page in the textbook. Of course, if he needs help, he could ask the teacher when he's in the teacher-assisted group, or just go across to where she's sitting. Students appear to have no fear of being reprimanded by the teacher. The conventional distance has been bridged here. Generally, one of the constant problems of schooling is absenteeism. For example, if a child is sick for a week, he cannot follow the lesson when he gets back. He has a feeling of running a race he can never win. However, ABL has a simple strategy to take care of missed classes. The mastering of a skill is not a collective exercise. The child's work is individual. Therefore, he goes to the points on the ladders where he left off and starts learning from there. Repetition of a lesson acts as reinforcement. That is accepted pedagogy. But instead of sing-song chanting of tables or whatever, the child in ABL writes on the blackboard first, his notebook next, and finally in the workbook. Since he writes the same material 3 times, the pattern gets well established. Whatever the lesson, names of animals, masculine and feminine nouns, or singular and plural words, the strengthening of the connections by repetition is certainly achieved. With so many materials directly accessed by pupils, one would worry about the displacement of the learning cards. Each time the materials are returned to the shelf, they are checked out by the child who used it, sometimes helped by another child. It's like the practice of putting their school bags and their footwear neatly on the veranda, which has become second nature to the children. Gender equality seems to have been achieved rather effortlessly. Girls and boys sit at the low desks or on reed mats together and share their work without any awkwardness. This is particularly important in a culture where the girl child needs to struggle for equal rights in home and school. Inclusion is a word that defines an equitable education system where all children are together in the same school. Children with disability are admitted into the school and can be seen wearing calipers and participating in all the activities. They are fully part of the class and their peers accept them as friends. Once the ABL system has been mastered by the teacher and the pupils, the burden on the teacher is reduced. She is justifiably proud of her mastering the administration of the new system and of the children's achievements. Furthermore, up to class 4, there is no homework. This reduces the teacher's work considerably and frees the young children to continue learning a variety of things from the family and community and from nature. Knowledge can be garnered from many sources. In this system, the timetable is in units of half days. If mathematics is on the curriculum, the children will be involved with the materials from the beginning of the school day until lunchtime. This is done so that the children can concentrate on one subject without the intrusive bell breaking up their lesson. In the conventional school, this would have been tedious, but in the ABL, there is a lot of movement and activity, exchange of ideas and group work. There is simply no question of boredom. In the beginning, many parents were skeptical about classes where children of all ages were mixed. It didn't look like a school to them. Could the pupils learn well when they seemed to be enjoying it so much? The parents were invited to come and sit in the classroom. Gradually, as they watched their child's reading skills and general knowledge develop,
குழந்தை 3வது படிக்கிறா, டிவில எது வந்தாலும் நல்லா படிக்கிறா, கல்யாண நோட்டீஸ் லெட்டர் வந்தாலும் நல்லா குழந்தை படிக்குது, எந்த பிரச்சனையும் கிடையாது. 1வது தான் படிக்கிறான் என் பையன். அப்புறம் செய்தித்தாள் நல்லா படிக்கிறான், லெட்டர் வந்தா கூட அதை கூட நல்லா வாசிக்கிறான். ஸ்கூல் கரெக்டா எந்த டைமுக்கு ஸ்கூலுக்கு வரணுமோ ஒரு அளவு கிடையாது.
Most parents were convinced that the system worked. The tangible achievements impressed the parents. The key element in the story of the silent revolution is the competence of teachers and supervisors in Tamil Nadu who were exposed to the new system. Some of them who were trained at Rishi Valley became the core group. Others were trained by the core group. It was the translation and adaptation of the learning materials that consumed their energy and invigorated them at the same time. For nearly 6 months, 100 teachers worked on developing materials, working after school hours from 4 to 8 p.m. every evening. Their involvement in the process of material development was total. The ABL system has some senior teachers who are experts in handling teacher education and are treated like wise elders. But there are also young trainers selected for their enthusiasm and communication skills. A teacher handling class 1 or 2 could have demonstrated such a tremendous grasp of the principles and procedures and be asked to conduct the entire training for a rural school. One of the byproducts, therefore, is a breaking down of hierarchy and a dynamic interchange of personnel, materials and methods. The ladder is not a mechanical structure with equidistant steps. For each specific academic achievement, different ways of learning are built in. There are several ways of reinforcing learning while making it enjoyable: song, game, reading, writing, and finally evaluating. For the children, the most exciting aspect is that they can learn actively and have a sense of fulfillment. The teacher knows the exact level of the child's achievement and can take remedial measures for a child who's slowed down. There are a few blank steps in every ladder. These are intended for any new area the teacher may wish to include. There is scope thus for teachers to be creative. They keep adding songs that the children sing together and stories for the shadow puppet shows. They use familiar material from their own environment. Children are naturally highly motivated to know and to learn. Most school procedures dampen the enthusiasm of children and suppress their intrinsic motivation. When school methods and materials are devised to be attractive and easy to use, the inherent motivation of the children is sustained. Learning to learn comes from wanting to learn. Professor Krishna Kumar, Director of NCERT, visited a corporation school in Chennai recently. He said at the time,
Earlier today I have visited a school with Mr. Vijay Kumar where the innovative pedagogic experience has been demonstrated in a very concrete way. I have felt personally the ethos of the school, its structure, its working, and I am extremely impressed with the kind of progress that has been made in the program of bringing innovations in the corporation schools of Chennai. Indeed, many aspects of the national curriculum framework can be seen in operation already.
The learning achievements of the children are resoundingly convincing. They provide a strong case for the ABL method to be extended to all state-run schools in Tamil Nadu. In fact, the Tamil Nadu initiative could be a forerunner of a transformation of school education all over India, veritably a silent revolution.
Okay, and if you'd like to know more about activity-based learning, one of the parallel sessions after this session will look further into the curriculum that's entitled Education for All. Okay, I'd now like to ask Aruna from UNICEF to talk about the upscaling from that pilot in Chennai to across the state. Thank you.
I've had the privilege of being associated with this silent revolution from 2003, when Mr. Vijay Kumar took over as the Commissioner of Municipal Corporation of Chennai and started talking to teachers. And the teachers actually wanted to look for an alternative. And so teams of teachers as well as people from the inspectorate who are usually not involved in academic matters, it was a team mixed up of inspectorate people and teachers who went and looked at different kinds of models in the country. And it was the teachers' choice that ABL was actually chosen as the model. They went to Rishi Valley and they wanted to try it out. So it started out in 13 schools, and please remember these were teachers who volunteered for this experiment. And like Dr. Anantalakshmi mentions in the film, many of these teachers were teaching during the day and making the model materials in the evening, going back to the next morning, trying it out, coming back again in the evening, and bettering the material. This process went on for nearly 12 months. Actually, if anybody tells you government school teachers like to relax, these teachers disproved it. Every Saturday, Sunday, they did not take off for nearly 2 years. And one of them who has been involved in it from the beginning, will be making the presentation, Mrs. Malati, in the next parallel session. So please do go see it. So we started with 13 schools and we moved on to 250 schools. There are only 250 primary sections in the Chennai Corporation area. So we moved on to 250 schools. And in the end of the academic year 2004-2005, Government of India, the delegation came. They looked at the material, they actually inspected the classrooms, and they suggested to Sarva Shiksha Abhiyan Tamil Nadu that a statewide pilot with 10 schools in every block should go on for this. And that was done. And in preparing for it, what is important is that the Tamil Nadu government did not just train those 10 teachers from every block. What they did was they took the principles of ABL and asked the other teachers, that is the teachers of non-model schools, to create workbooks and materials for children in the non-model schools using the same principles. So this way the principles of ABL became, sort of spread out to the whole system. And I think that is one of the lessons that we learned, that, isolated pilot experiences do not work, and they need a scaffolding of the systemic thinking as well.
So in 2006-07, Government of India said okay to upscaling it to 37,000 schools from 4,000 schools. And in that year, in 1 year, a lot of teachers came, there was a lot of teacher exchanges. Teachers from the model schools in Chennai Corporation went and visited the rural schools, helped them to set up their model schools and so on. And the model school teachers from the blocks came to Chennai Corporation to see the things in operation. And they sort of challenged each other, saying that we will do it better than you guys. You guys might have started it, but we will do it better than you. And this way the model schools were strengthened. And here I have to mention the miraculous mobile phone. And Tamil Nadu has a huge mobile phone network. Almost all the teachers have each other's number now. So they kept calling each other, and it was really heartwarming to see a teacher from Dharmapuri calling and saying, I put this logo this way, can I use it that way? And there was a lot of this kind of exchange of information. And the Chennai teachers learnt a lot from the rural school teachers. And this was the year when we also ran the 4,000 model schools. But at the same time, we also created a master resource team in every district, so that we were ready for the upscaling in the next academic year. And Mr. Vijay Kumar's number throughout this exercise, his mobile phone number, was available to every single teacher in the state. And people would call him and he would call them back, because he didn't want the teachers to pay for their phone call, because he was in Chennai at that time. So there were a lot of these kind of, the communication up and down was very open, and I think that is one of the reasons why so many teachers accepted such a revolutionary change much more willingly. And there were a lot of on-site support. There was no monitoring in the initial phases. We were talking about mindset change, the very terminology when you start using, that itself, creates a certain amount of movement at least. So we called it support, on-site support visits. A lot of us went, including Mr. Vijay Kumar, myself, the directors, joint directors, everybody who was interested. And again, there was no hierarchy in this. We even got the IAS officers who were district administrators to come and look at the schools. We sort of proselytized to them, and they became our they started visiting schools actually. Almost every collector at that time, every administrator, district administrator, would have gone to at least 2 or 3 schools in a month. And there was a lot of convergence also between different directorates of education, the DTRT, the teacher training institutes, and the elementary education department, and so on. And Tamil Nadu made very good use of EduSat, which is quite well connected in Tamil Nadu. There are some hitches like, there's no electricity in this block, that block and all that, but they did make use of it. And the upscaling was done because the Elementary Education Directorate felt this is the right thing for children of Tamil Nadu, and therefore the recommendation for it did not come from SSA. It came from the department, parent department, for whom SSA was created. So that, I think, is a very crucial difference, especially considering SSA is only a project, and any change needs to come from the parent department. Thank you.
And now, Dr. Kanapan will talk about the project we're running currently.
Okay. According to NCERT studies, Tamil Nadu has, in the primary class children's, 65% of children has achieved the mother tongue or regional language. Remaining 35% of children, after the 5 years of schooling, they are not able to read and write. Similarly, in mathematics, the basic operations, 40 to 50% of children are not familiar with the basic operations in mathematics.
Based on these results only, Dr. Vijay Kumar has introduced ABL methodology in pilot base in Chennai Corporation. Based on the performance and outcomes of the corporation schools of Chennai, it has to be upscaled to Tamil Nadu, nearly 37,000 schools in 2007. Now within 2 years, when we are inspecting the school in rural areas, nowadays the first standard children and second standard children are very familiar to read and write in both the language and mathematics through the activity base, because it has the opportunity to peer group, own-phase learning, the clarifications, the people-people interaction and teacher-people interactions are more here in the classroom, in the ABL classroom. Apart from that, the film has shown that the low-level blackboard, it has given a lot of boost to the children, because once upon a time, the board is honor for the teacher. But after the introduction of ABL classroom, now each and every child has the freedom to write in the classroom itself, because most of the children are the first level learners. These are the so many experience we have observed in the rural areas and other things. At this juncture only, we thought that we are also to improve the English method teaching in the classroom by associating with the UNICEF and the British Council. Actually, the Aruna is not only for the funding support for us, is always giving a lot of ideas and technical assistance to the SSA system and also our education. So, UNICEF has brought together British Council and SSA Tamil Nadu to improve the English teaching methodology or pedagogy, just like the communicative English. Already in Tamil Nadu we have from the first standard onwards we have the English books, introductions. So based on these ideas, we have to create we have to improve the spoken English or communicative English in the rural areas. It is more beneficial for our rural teacher and the rural children. So from this methodology, what we expect from the teachers now, the teachers will be better able to use the English with the confidence in the classroom transactions. Already the ABL gives a motivation to get the skills, but the communicative skill is somewhat different in the teaching of any subject like that. So now also using the language classes in English in order to maximize the learner's exposure to target children. Apart from this, to give so many learning activities through this training, because already we have normally the classroom as the teacher center. Nowadays the group center, the child center basic, and also by using the so many activities. That was in the morning section also one of the teachers said that it is a time consuming process. Even though it is a time consuming process, the outcome is our children only. So it is apart from that, to increase the opportunity for the oral interaction between the teacher and the student. And also in our Tamil Nadu system, we modified the actual British Council model based on the 5th standard textbooks, because we are focused only for those who are handling 5th standard class or the teacher and also a teacher. These are our outcomes from this training methodology. Actually now we are taking the master trainer. In Delhi they are called as mentors, but we are in Tamil Nadu, we are taken as a master trainer in 900 in different system. Just Aruna says that we are using the DTRT peoples and also our teachers and our own system, SSA, we have nearly 6,000 teacher educators, but we have chosen only 600, those who are having the English graduates, and 60 people from the diet, and 240 primary school teachers, they are working the rural areas in our Tamil Nadu. So in our Tamil Nadu, we have the 412 blocks, both the rural and urban areas. We have selected all the teacher educators, 2% from the 30 diets across the state. Apart from the 240 teachers, those who are handling the 5th class teachers. But originally we have got the application nearly more than 700 applications. We have to shortlisted. We get the 467 teachers. Then the diagnostic test has to be conducted by the British Council experts. But the diagnostic test, we have got the results. Only in the 30 peoples in the C1 cadre, that is a common European framework, based on the framework. These are the only primary school teachers. Here 32 teachers from the C1. And the B2 cadre we have got 160 teachers. And 149 teachers scored B1 category, and the remaining teachers are the A2 and A1. So these are the rural teacher. Actually existing teacher is having the good knowledge and good expertise to teaching in English. So we have selected all the C1 and B2 category, and we have selected some good resource person from the B1. So finally we have selected only 240 teachers from the rural teachers and 600 BRTs and 60 diet peoples. From this master trainer, we have prepared in the two phase, because we have the nearly 1,20,000 teachers working in primary section. So we have given the training in two batches in two phase in the different venues in the district headquarters from June and September 2009. All the master trainers, we have done the 3 days cascade training before giving the teachers, because it is very useful for the master trainer to prepare themselves or include so many activities apart from the master trainer given from British Council. The training was imparted in the two phases by the master trainer to all the class 5 teachers and 8 teachers from the primary school and middle school teachers in July, October and November 2009. Today the course has reached nearly 64,000 teachers working in primary school in 1,600 batches in two different phases. So ultimately all the primary school teacher has got the training from this British Council. Now so many teachers have given the letter to the directly British Council, Clare and Alison Barrett and also the UNICEF. They have the confidence to speak in the English in our classroom. It gives a lot of motivation and also introduces a lot of activity through based in the classroom situations. So apart from these are our three organizations, we have to fix some clarity role to how to implement the process. So SSA has the experience and also the lot of management system. The UNICEF have the commitment, and British Council have the expertise in English learning language teaching methodology. So SSA has given the framework for the overall action plan and also for the monitoring and field level support from our district official and block level officials. And also we have to make the residential training program for the master trainer at the district headquarters. And we made all the logistical arrangements for the cascade and the intermediate planning for the district peoples. And also we provide SSA has incurred the expenditure for the fund flow, both the master trainer and the cascade training. Apart from this, we also take care for whatever the training as given in the master trainer, the same standard has to be maintained in the block level. The last week, I think Mrs. Sumaraman has spoke to me from the Trichy in Vayambati blocks, very rural area. But the sportive of methodology has to be maintained as given by the Madurai itself. That's why we get a good feedback from the master resource person in the British Council. And similarly, the UNICEF has given a lot of technical and financial assistance to the British Council through SSA. Apart from it, they are also monitoring whenever the training has to be taken in both the master level and the cascade training. From the field level, if there is any flaw, then immediately from they are giving some advice to how to clarify or how to change the methodology from the first phase to second phase, like that. And similarly, the British Council, not only it is for the program, British Council want to conduct the program for the Tamil Nadu teachers. Really, they have the methodology how to improve, because in the first time they are approached to our state project director, then the state project director not accepted the proposal, because already we have introduced activity-based methodology. So first we have to identify the need analysis for the teachers, how to introduce your system to our ABL methodology. So they are conducting the need analysis and also for designing the training module based on the test. So and also they are preparing the training of masters and also they monitoring the cascade training for the teachers level and providing follow-up support and advice continuously. These are the role play for our three organizations, the partnership in Tamil Nadu SSA and Tamil Nadu British Council and the UNICEF Chennai So these are our basic experience we have got in the program. So we have implemented within 6 months. Because in the morning section we have looked after the Delhi section, it has took 2 years with 3,200 teachers. But within a 6 month, we have started only the month of May 2009. The end of November, we have trained 64,000 teachers in 10 days training, 2 phases in 1,600 batches. And apart from that, we have got the 900 master trainer now. Now we are available the resource in the Tamil Nadu. So this on behalf of SSA, on behalf of the government of Tamil Nadu, I have to thank for both the British Council of Chennai and UNICEF. Thank you, one and all.
Hello. Okay. Thanks, Dr. Kanapan, for that. As George said to me over lunch, it's all about change, and what I'm going to focus on is just some of the practical steps that all 3 partners took to ensure that the project was rolled out as smoothly and as effectively as possible. Before I talk about change, I'd like to just reinforce what Dr. Kanapan was saying. Activity-based learning has been recognised as a very successful educational change initiative in Tamil Nadu, and it's for grades 1 to 4. And the cohorts of students who are moving now from grade 4 into grade 5 are moving into a slightly different learning environment, a slightly more traditional learning environment. So one of the key priorities of our project was to work with the grade 5 teachers to help the grade 5 teachers make that transition as smooth as possible for the students. So as you can see from this spider's web, we're actually really lucky to be working with... you don't have it. Okay. Could you put the PowerPoint on, please? Thank you. We're actually really lucky to be working with the SSA and UNICEF in Tamil Nadu because they've actually done all the hard work for us to a certain extent. So because of the ABL methodology, there's already been a culture of change in the state. And as Dr. Kanapan pointed out, there's a strong network of people. The infrastructure exists now within the state at all levels, at the state level, at the district level, and at the block level. And that's not only the administrators, but also the academic staff that they have at all of those levels. And I think the interesting thing about Tamil Nadu is also that the block resource teacher educators are a permanent resource at the moment within that system. So the 600 teacher educators that we've been working with as part of that 900 are, that is their job. They are trainers permanently, 24/7 pretty much. Secondly, the teachers in Tamil Nadu are aware of the success of ABL methodology. They've almost certainly seen it in their schools or in neighbouring schools. They know what that looks like. They know that the teachers in that environment are happy with that change. And success breeds success. So I think they've benefited from that. What Fulham calls reculturing, as Martin alluded to this morning. Thirdly, the community and the students are also aware of what's going on. And so students who are moving from grade 4 into grade 5, their expectations are that they'll be taught in an active learning methodology way. I just want to pick up, as I said, some of the key points. At the end of the project, we all sat down together for a day and we brainstormed, or just what was it about this project that made it, and we believe, so successful, and an impact study is going on right now. So we tried to come up with some points to share with you. One thing about the model, it's a cascade model, and I know cascade models sometimes are criticised. There's a risk of transmission loss. There's a risk of, if you're scaling up to the kind of numbers that you're talking about in Tamil Nadu, that one size doesn't fit all. So we had to be very sure that the model that we were using was going to be effective. So what we did at the beginning we ensure that there's one layer in the cascade. So the 900 master trainers come from those blocks that Dr. Kanapan was talking about. There are 412 blocks, right? 412 blocks. And we train 900 master trainers. So in each block, there were 2 master trainers who delivered the training. There was a good combination of experienced teacher educators, of teachers who were selected and understand the grassroots reality in the classroom, and there were DIET teacher educators as well, District Institute of Education and Training trainers. So there was a good mix and a good combination, and as far as possible, when the cascade happened, the block resource teacher educators were put together with a teacher or with a DIET educator. As we heard this morning, we learnt from our program in Delhi that the teachers find it valuable to have time in between the training to reflect, internalize, try out some of the ideas, come back and say, I tried this, it didn't really work, so I changed it, did it like this. So that's why we have 2 phases in the cascades with a set of reflection activities in the interim period. We also, or the SSA, I should say, also ensured that they maintain the standards in terms of numbers. So there were only ever 40 teachers in any batch at any one time. Trainers, I've talked a bit about the trainers already, but I think as Gilpin, Arlene Gilpin wrote quite a seminal article on cascade training in 1997, and she says that one interesting quote from that article is that teacher educators in a cascade model are recipients of change, and they're also agents of change. So we trained those master trainers. They received that training. I hate that, actually, it's not a nice word, received, but they had that training, and then they were responsible for ensuring that change reached the teachers that they were working with. And one of the ways that we ensure that is that we work with Indian trainers. We have a very small team of experts at the British Council, and Claire O'Donoghue is responsible for managing this project in Tamil Nadu. So she's overall responsible for the project, the logistics, the rollout, the monitoring, the evaluation, but the delivery is done on the whole by Indian teacher trainers and experts that we've recruited and trained from India. We had a selection process, which I think ensured that we had the best teachers that were available in Tamil Nadu, and we were really encouraged by the results of the diagnostic test that we did. And I think overall the trainers had a lot of credibility and authority. The model was flexible, and I think one question we've grappled with over the last 18 months is how much flexibility do we want in terms of the materials? Do we want to prescribe a course that is cascaded down in exactly the same way, or do we want to give some freedom to the trainers to innovate and adapt? And we've come up with something that's in between. So we have a trainer module and a manual that has very clear lesson plans and notes, but we also encourage the master trainers to adapt it, to leave out things they feel aren't useful, to adapt some of the activities. And the SSA facilitated this adaptation by bringing together all 900 master trainers, not together, but bringing them to the districts, there are 30 districts, and facilitating a 3-day planning meeting at the beginning of each of the 5-day cascades, where the master trainers shared their experiences, talked about the materials, and decided what elements they wanted to cascade and what they didn't. So I think that was really useful for them. Communication, as Aruna said, is really key. In Tamil Nadu, they have this, what they call the CUG, which is the Closed User Group. And 1,500, if I'm not wrong, 1,500 members from the SSA across the state, at all levels again, have free mobile phone calls. So they're able to communicate with each other very easily and obviously cheaply. There was a shared understanding at all levels of what the programme was trying to achieve, and that was done by circulars, It was done through face-to-face briefings, and it was also done through EduSat, where teachers were brought together and addressed from Chennai. Shared understanding is really important. I mean, it's really hard for teachers to know what to do in the classroom if they don't know what the objectives are, so they had to know what we were aiming to achieve. There are vertical and lateral channels of communications as well between all three organisations. I think Shobhana Sai Rajkumar, who can't be here today, deserves a special mention. She's one of our managers based in our office in Chennai. And she has the mobile phone number of the State Project Director, of Dr. Kanapan, of Aruna, of all the district AEOs and I can't pronounce them, all the EOs anyway, of all the educational officers in all the districts. And there's no problem. She can just phone up the SPD and say, oh, you know, Mr. Venkatasan, this has happened, what do I do? And that's fine. I think that's really important, that level of communication. All the districts made reports. This is one from one of the districts. They produced this fantastic report of the training, which was circulated, so everybody knew what had happened and what had been done, and there's a sense of ownership there in that. And there's been a presence from all three organisations at all levels of the training, in the initial training, in the cascades, and in the feedback sessions. So we've been collecting formal and informal feedback throughout the whole process. The materials and the methodology, I've talked about a little bit already. Three things I want to emphasise. They were based on a need. They were prepared after we did a needs analysis across the state. They were considered to be relevant, and they were audited by the SSA before we actually started the project. And they were also considered to be feasible, which I think are three things that are really important. The methodology that we use in the training mirrors the kind of methodology that we expect the teachers to use with the students in the classroom. So very practical, very hands-on, fun, interactive methodology. Very low-tech. We didn't use any PowerPoints when we did the training. We didn't use anything that would be hard for them to replicate in their own classrooms. And we had a module for the teachers and a module for the trainers, so two separate modules for two different groups in that pyramid of, well, the two layers of that cascade. Finally, you'll be pleased to hear, the collaboration I just wanted to emphasise between the three organisations. I think it was summed up by a colleague of ours in our final meeting, Mr. Sundarama, who it was kind of the engine room of this whole programme, if you like, with Dr. Kanapan. And he said, we're like a family. It's, you know, no one's big or tall or small, or, you know, we all just work together, and it's very open and transparent. We had shared expectations from the roles and responsibilities from the very beginning. And going back to that spider's web of change, you know, the British Council as an external British organisation, maybe some people might think we're a bit outside of that web of change. But we have a very good understanding of the context. But of course, the people that we're working with have a much better understanding. So by ensuring that we have Indian expertise throughout all the layers, they're close to that spider's web. So they know if it starts to tremble, if something's going wrong, they can tell us, and you know, we can work together to fix it. I think that was all I had to say. What's happening next? We're hoping to develop some additional training modules for some of the 30 expert trainers that Claire's been able to identify by going around to all the districts, and to do some more training for them on monitoring and evaluation, trainer training. We're starting from January, going around to the classrooms and actually monitoring the impact on the teachers at the classroom level. And we're going to be, we had success with our films that we developed as part of our Delhi project, so we're now planning to film teachers in some of the most rural areas in Tamil Nadu, and use those films as part of the training that's done by the SSA through the cluster resource centres at the block and the district level. We're also considering possibilities of offering courses maybe by radio or through EduSat or mobile phones. But these are all ideas at the moment, and hopefully we'll be able to share with you results of those at the next meeting. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Alison. And I must say it's been one of the most interesting projects that I've ever had the pleasure to work on since I've been here in India. I think we have time for a few questions. We've got 5 minutes, so if you have any questions for any of the speakers, please. Yes.
My question is, ABL is a very successful program, as I can see from classes 1 to 4. The ABL program appears to have been very successful for classes 1 to 4. Now these students are going to go now to standard 5. Is this program going to be extended to standard 5, or are they going to start totally the traditional program? Then the question will be of these children adjusting in this traditional program, because they are used to this activity-based learning. Can it not be extended to the higher classes step by step?
ABL was introduced last 3 years. That is a 3rd year program. So actually we introduced up to 4th standard because we have to aim to familiarize both the literacy and the numeracy. Government has now to be decided whether it is extended to 5th standard or not, because now the government has announced for common education system based on the NCF 2005. We are combining in our state we have the 4 different examination pattern for 10th standard: matriculation, state board, Anglo-Indian and Oriental school. Now we are merging all the pattern. We have come across under one system. So government yet to decided, but after the 5th class we have also introduced some new methodology, active learning methodology for the science and social science. But anyway, we have to, it is under the policy decision. It has to be discussed in the ministry level. We expect up to at least up to 5th standard it will be very useful for the rural children. Thank you.
Any more questions over here?
I would like to know whether the activity cards are prepared on any textbook, or what is the state of the textbook in the entire program. I mean, do you have the state textbooks as the base, or you kept on referring to it based on NCF 2005. But what about the textbooks? Is there any reference to any textbooks or supplementary reading material at the same time?
Yes, ma'am. In the activity-based methodology itself, we have introduced the ladder system. We provide the opportunity for the textbook also. But now the most of the activity is based on the activity cards. That's the ABL cards. And also we have supplemented the nearly 172 supplementary books based prepared by the NBT and CBT. Apart from this, our own teachers has prepared nearly 42 books for the mother tongue. The current year we are working for the English for the supplementary readers. So at present both the textbook and the card has to be utilized in our system.
My questions to Dr. Kanappan. This is my own experience working with SSA in Karnataka, that whenever the state project director changes or somebody on the top changes, then it's almost like starting from scratch again. So how did Tamil Nadu surmount that? Because obviously Mr. Vijay Kumar left and some, another SPDs come in place.
Vijay Kumar was left 1.5 years before. after the Vijay Kumar, the program was sustainable. Our present project has also keen interest to implement or sustain the program through because our state education minister has visited every month at least one school in any rural areas. So the government also as watching the ABL program because in the primary classes it is more the children as enjoyable and enthusiastic, and we feel that they have the confidence level to improve, to do the activities and also spoken. So there is no problem in Tamil Nadu because in Karnataka after the Vinta Kaul Madam, it has to be, now the project has to be started, but there is no problem in the at present level in Chennai. Thank you.
Not a question, but just to add on to what I've been one of the foot soldiers of this Project English in both Kerala and Tamil Nadu. I just want to talk about what really is wonderful about this project. I've been working with the master trainers, and we've been observing the master trainers training the teachers. And one of the most heartening features of this is teachers who have not attended these programs are actually picking up ideas from these teachers and using this in teaching other subjects in the classroom. And that's tremendous. And I've also been lucky enough to do the monitoring of the cascading program. And as Dr. Kannappan said, I've visited 6 of the blocks. Children are actually coming and, they go around pulling and says, I know how to speak English. That's exactly the language they use. And then they're very happy their teachers only speak English with them. So it's not just English. Language is there, it's through English, but it's an all-round education of the children. And I must say, I must thank all the association for actually making me, part of that, because I'm really proud to be involved in this program. Thank you.
Actually, I am Shada Kaushik, Director, RI Chandigarh. I have a question for representatives of NCERT, but it's definitely in connection with the ABS project. 2 years back, we started to prepare cards, activity-based learning cards, based on Marigold series, class 1 and 2. Then, of course, about 6 months back, I should say, there was a change, a lot of transfers took place, and the project got shelved. The status at this moment is that we have a whole lot of cards designed based on class 1 and 2 textbooks of Marigold NCERT books. On the basis, and the planning that we have done is basically based on what the Chennai project is all about. So would NCERT like to take it up in any way? I'm bringing the two together.
Thank you. I think our time is up now, so we'll leave it there. Okay, with that challenge. Thank you very much.